Transforce96 here with another review. This time we have the Pacific Rim from the Deluxe series Otachi. So yeah. So overall this is the newest kaiju, of course, and this is very nice to get because even when they come out with kaiju, typically they're somewhat just repaints of the others with maybe a different head sculpt or different hands or something small of that nature. So to get a completely new, never before seen, no reused parts kaiju is very exciting, I must say. And considering they picked quite a good one to do, Otachi is one that had a main fight in the movie, so of course it is nice to get this actual kaiju being made. So very cool. One thing that's a little disappointing about him coming out is the fact that they don't have any other kaijus announced. Now they're continuing with the toy line. There's still one more wave that has a super battle damage Gypsy Danger, or I don't know, I can't remember. No, it has the Gypsy Danger with the huge, like, repulsor blast from the chest type of thing, and then it has a Jaeger that was in the movie for about 2 seconds, and then they did just show a preview picture of a sketch of another concept kaiju, or another concept Jaeger that they're doing. So they're continuing with the toy line, which is great. We know that they're doing more Jaegers. As of right now, though, no new kaiju have been announced, which is quite a bummer, but I'll talk more about that at the end. Going over the actual kaiju that we have right now, Otachi. As you can see, here he is, he is looking quite incredible, I must say. Now, the first thing I'm going to say right off the bat is, I wasn't like, I was very excited to get this guy when they showed him at I think it was Comic-Con. I was very excited for him and everything. When he actually came out and people started posting pictures and reviews and stuff, for some reason I felt myself very unenthused for the figure, and that was quite disappointing. And getting it in person, I'm really kind of realizing that is because he doesn't photograph well. In my opinion, whenever I've went to take a photo of him or done anything, or even just the review right now, I don't think he looks as good as he actually does in person. And I do not know why that's the case, but in person he just looks so much better, and I don't know why that's the case. Maybe it's just the perspective, I just don't know, but I have to say I like him a lot better having him in person than I did just seeing him in pictures. Overall, looking quite menacing though. Just want to give you a little 360 type of look of how he is with his feet all, firmly placed on the ground, because probably as we start moving him around, he's gonna look kind of awkward. So yeah, overall looking absolutely breathtaking, I must say. So he retails for $69. Very strange. It's not $69.99, it's $68.99. So I don't know why they didn't just jump him to 70. I guess just to make it look a little better, I'm not sure. So he is definitely the most expensive Jaeger, he is the most expensive Pacific Rim figure to come, that's in the scale, of course. It's not like a 1:4 scale or a statue or anything like that. So he is definitely quite a hefty amount, and considering he's a kaiju and not a Jaeger, some people might be, persuaded to skip this one, but in my opinion this is definitely one to get. Going over the paint, let's get into it. As you can see, the paint is quite breathtaking, I must say. It's got this really great dark green look that is, it's first covered with dark green, and then it has all sorts of blacks and grays washed into it to give it a really natural and realistic look, and then it has highlights of very bright blues and yellows detailed into these specific design places to make it look like he's actually lighting up, which is really cool. I mean, from some shots, he actually looks like he has lights. The paint is so reflective, which is quite nice. On the back there, you do get a row of circular dots, which are basically white with blue kind of painted around the edges, so then the center is kind of has a little white to it, and it does look quite nice. Then you get those same design on the tail. They're a little bit bigger on the tail though. The mouth, as you can see, he almost like has like blood kind of coming down his teeth, it almost looks like, which is cool. The kaiju blood, which is blue, so yeah, I like that a lot. And then some yellow details up there, bright yellow eyes, which is really nice. Inside his mouth, as you can see, they did some great paint there. It starts off as a very light blue, and as it goes further in, it gets extremely dark. And then the tongue is, of course, colored in the same fashion, which I really like a lot. The whole, I don't know what you'd call this, but his little place where he stores the acid, it's got a nice light blue paint scheme. And then on the chest is the kind of, I would consider it the sloppiest area. It looks a little toyish, and I don't know why. I like all these little cuts, and I'm not sure if these are just from past battles, or if these are designs, or if this is actually from Gypsy Danger cutting him, but they do look really nice. And then the blue squigglies just seem a little out of place to me. But that being said, they're on the bottom, you really don't see them, so it's not a big deal, and it is nice that he has some yellow in him, considering just about every other kaiju has some form of yellow in them, so you know, it makes them fit in with the others a bit better. And then in between the skeleton areas of the wing, when you actually have the fabric areas, which they're actually hard plastic, but I'm just saying, like, in real life they'd be soft. But you've got black washed in with a very light blue or turquoise, looking great there. So paint is absolutely beautiful, really have no complaints. Oh, and then the center of his tail, very light blue. The paint is wonderful, and I definitely like it a lot. The sculpt on this guy is really menacing, like I've said. I really like the design that they've went with. The only thing that I would have preferred is I would have liked them just to jack up the price to, I'd say, like 90 bucks, and then just give us an extra pair of arms that have his wings extended. I was quite surprised. When I first saw him at Comic-Con, I thought that he was probably going to come with extra winged arms. So I was actually surprised to see him not come with those. But I would have definitely been willing to pay, you know, extra money to get those wings. That being said, though, I really like the way that he looks, so I don't know if I'd even display him with the wings if he actually came with them. I think that I might just leave him like this, because he's got such a nice look to him, and I definitely like that a lot. Now, where this guy could have really failed, but he actually, you know, succeeds for the most part, is the articulation. Now, this is, you know, with an awkward shaped figure like this, the articulation could have been terrible. They actually did quite a well job in articulating this guy for his odd look. Starting off with the neck, it's a ball jointed neck. It's actually a ball joint at 2 places, so it's really nice. So the way that you can know that it's ball jointed in 2 places is the fact that he's got this little head shifting, you know, you can have him do a little dance there with the head there. So that's really nice. So that's the inner ball joint working, and then the top ball joint obviously extends, can look down side to side, like I said. Really nicely done. I like the ball joint a lot, and because of that, he does have a hinged jaw. So you can have him open his jaw and look really cool. Obviously, the further down you have his head, the more the jaw will be blocked, so he'll only be able to open it like this much, but you can raise his head and get him to open his jaw a ton at the top, which is really nice. And then he has, again, a double ball joint, so one ball joint that's connected to his tongue, and then one ball joint that's connected to the actual jaws. So that gives you the ability to spread his mouth open like he does in the movie, and there is a little feature to that I'll show you later when I go over his accessories. Very nicely done, like that a lot. He's got a ball jointed, I guess you'd call this a lower neck piece. It's rather hindered though, so it's mostly just a swivel. Then he does have a ball jointed torso. I'm trying to get you the best view of this. I think from underneath is probably the best place to see it. So the torso is this area right here. This is connected to the top, and then the bottom section is the rounded part here. Now this ball joint is really just, it really just swivels basically. So you can have him tilt one side or the other. It's extremely stiff, and I'm almost worried about breaking it whenever I move it, I have to say. But even, you know, though it's not too comfortable to move, it's really nice because it gives his back completely like a moved shift feeling to it. It's not just straight like a normal toy would be. So having it moved a bit like that makes it look very natural and realistic, which I like a lot, and, you know, allows him to have his feet pointed, you know, forward kind of, but have his entire body, and then especially if you tilt his head looking this way, looking very cool. I like that a lot. He's got for his little legs here, he's got swivels at the legs that are you know, they've got quite a nice range of motion. They aren't hindered or anything. It would have been nice to get a hinge, but to be honest, not necessary. You're not going to do any poses with these legs. These legs are really just to help him stabilize. He has a hinge at the knee. It really doesn't hinge out very far. Hinges in a decent amount, so you're basically going to leave this hinge for the most part. Then he's got ball jointed ankles. Now they're a bit stiff, but you can move them, and they do rock, so you can get them most of the time flat on the floor, even when he's in a pose, which is really cool. His arms and the wings there, he's got ball jointed shoulders, which is quite nice, so you can, you know, get him in a lot of poses. Then he has hinge swiveling elbows, which is really nice. And the hinge on the elbow is actually really good. Sometimes that's, when you have a joint like this, the hinge can be quite hindered. But it's very good. And the funny thing is, you really don't see the hinge. I can, like, even when you have it fully extended, you can't see the hinge anywhere. So that's really well hidden. Or it's actually, it might just be a ball joint on a peg. It's probably that, actually. So that's very nice. I definitely like that a lot. And then his ankles, or his wrists there, whatever you want to call it, is the same as they are on the foot. They do have a little pivot to them. They're a little hard to move sometimes, and they don't have a ton of range of movement, but with that pivot, you can get him in a somewhat of a wide armed position, but still have his arms somewhat flat on the floor, which is quite nice. And definitely important for a figure like this. You know, it takes a lot of the realistic nature of the figure out of it when, you know, he's in a pose where his hand is like this on the table when it should be like this. So it just little details like that really help the figure look realistic, which I like. Now the tail is what really surprised me. When I got him out of package, I was like, oh, this is probably some bending tail type of thing, like there was a wire and it's actually rubber. That's not the case, and I am so happy about that. He has a 7 ball jointed tail here. He's got a ball joint. Let's see if I can get him off. He's got a ball joint here where it connects to his actual, the actual figure. Got a ball joint here, 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 and here. Really amazing. Now, you know, even though he's got so many ball joints, they don't have a ton of movement each. You know, like, you know, this is as much as the one has, this is as much as the other one has. So, you know, they're all somewhat hindered just based on the design of the tail. But when you just have so many of them, you can still do a lot of cool stuff. You can have them hinge up that far. You can have them hinge way down if you want. You can just do whatever. You can have them to the side too, which is just super cool. And there's just a ton of fun stuff you can do with the tail with the articulation that it has, which is very nice. The whole little end at the tail is really cool. It's on a, they're all on hinges, but they're kind of on one master hinge. So you can just move one of them in and the others will move in too, which is nice. So he has like that grabbing type of gimmick there. And, you know, he does use his tail to rip off the head of the Crimson Typhoon. So, and the Crimson Typhoon's head is on a ball joint, I believe. So you can just pop that baby off and throw it into his tail like he's holding it, like he just ripped it off. And then having like a headless Crimson Typhoon slightly falling over. That would look really sick. I plan on doing that and taking a picture of it soon. So you can check my Instagram for that. Overall, really cool. I definitely, I like the articulation a ton. You know, where you'd expect him to have articulation, he has it very well. And then with the tail, where you'd expect some rubber gimmick, he has a really nice, really well articulated tail. I give, even if he's not like super articulated in a specific area, I give NECA just 100% for their effort, because they really did anything and everything that you could have wanted and more. So I really applaud NECA for their effort. There's one, you know, there's very few toy companies that most of the time do not disappoint, and NECA would have to be one of those. There's hardly a year where I do a top 10 video where a NECA figure or multiple doesn't make it in there. Alright, so like I'm doing right now, this is obviously a gimmick that they have. It is a acid squirting thing that you can put in. You remove his tongue, which is just, oops, it's just on a little rectangular square peg there, and then you can just pop this baby in. Looking really cool. Obviously you'll want to open his mouth like this, like he's really spitting it. Really neat. It's not, you know, like super necessary in my opinion, but it's just cool. Just a nice little feature that you can use for poses and stuff like that, so I do like that. And then he comes with one more accessory, and that is his kid. He comes with his little baby Otachi. So yeah, very neat looking. I'll give you a closer shot on him right now. Alright, so I just want to give you a quick close-up look at the baby Otachi. As you can see, you know, looking quite nice, quite ugly, but good. He's got like the umbilical cord around his neck, like he, you know, does in the movie, which kills him. And, you know, you can swivel his head, and the umbilical cord moves with the swivel, as well as he does have swivel arms. I don't know why, I mean, I guess he just has articulation, because if he didn't have articulation, people would be like, oh, well, you know, this little guy is pretty nice, but I'd would like to see articulation. So they basically gave you articulation just so that you didn't complain that you didn't have it, although the articulation is completely unnecessary. You know, they could have sculpted it like this, and that would have been fine, because nobody's going to need to articulate him at all. It's the only reason it's kind of nice to have this guy is because the end credit scene of the movie, this guy was obviously kind of the in the end credit scene, basically. So, you know, it's just kind of nice to get a little figure to kind of represent that. Overall, nothing too special or needed at that, but just a nice little extra. They are doing like a big one of this, and it's gonna be like rubber, I think. I don't like the way it looks. I don't like the fact that it's rubber, and I have no interest in it at all. But if you do want the larger one, they are doing one, which does come out relatively soon, I believe. So overall, I find this to be one of NECA's finest Pacific Rim figures. Definitely a lot of fun, and one thing that's really nice about it is, obviously it's big, and I'll get into some size comparisons in just about a second here, but the other thing is, this guy has a lot of space to be hollow, and he actually isn't, which is just really nice, I must say. He's got a lot of weight to him. You can definitely feel it. You'll be able to feel it in the store when you pick up the package. He's a heavy little figure, which I like just like a lot, and you know, you can definitely feel quality in there, and that's just one place that NECA doesn't disappoint. Their figures don't feel cheap. They feel like they're quality made. So I definitely like that a lot, and it's definitely very apparent in this figure as well. Very cool looking, liking this a lot. Like I said, some size comparisons. It's a little hard to do size comparisons with him because he's a long figure and not a tall one or anything like that. So I'm gonna, you know, give the size comparisons where he's at a bit of an angle. Comparing him with the other one that I would most like him to be with is Leatherback. Obviously these two come out together and they do fight Gypsy Danger one after the other, and we do see them a few times in scenes together. Overall, I don't think that this is a great scale, and maybe it's just me. I could just be wrong, but in my opinion, I think either Leatherback needs to be bigger or Otachi needs to be smaller. I would consider Leatherback to be bigger than Otachi. You know, obviously not in lengthwise, but just in his mass, he should be a little bit bigger, and Otachi is bigger even in mass, as well as in length. So, I'm not 100% sure if this is the scale. I don't know. From the front, because he's so skinny, it doesn't look so bad, but from the side, you know, he looks very small compared to Otachi. That's just me, though. Possibly this is the right scale, and it's just in the movie, you know, because it's dark, and because we're seeing it from only certain angles, and we don't have a clear shot of them together. Maybe that's just why I feel like Leatherback should be bigger. Comparing him to another kaiju, we have Knifehead. Now, so when you look at him, I mean, for the price difference, you know, a Knifehead here, I think he retails for like 25 to 30. This guy is more than double that. And with Leatherback retailed for 25, so this guy is almost triple that. So for the price difference, I feel like Otachi isn't, I feel like you should get a little bit more with Otachi. Now, I'm not saying that the price is a ripoff or anything. Because of his mass and how big he is and how well articulated he is, it really kind of makes up for it. But when you just compare it to pure mass, and you compare him to other kaijus that are big, you definitely are spending much more money per square inch of plastic, basically, than you are on the others. But quality-wise, he definitely meets the $70 mark quality-wise. It's just size-wise, and he is quite big. I'm not saying he's not big, just size-wise compared to the others, he isn't big enough to be a $70 figure compared to them. This guy being 50 would be absolutely amazing, but like I said, his quality level is at a $70 price range, so no issues getting gypped there. Here he is with Gypsy Danger, looking quite good. I think that they would look nice fighting each other. Soon I'm gonna start doing a photo shoot of Otachi with him fighting people and stuff, and I'll be posting them on my Instagram. Overall, looking very nice though, definitely fitting in with the other figures, and because he's so long and he takes up so much just wide space, even though he doesn't take up much height space, he is going to be relatively difficult to find a spot for if you're a bit tight on your space. And considering the Pacific Rim toy line has gone on for far longer than I expected, I am definitely starting to hit that point where I don't know where I'm going to put this guy for the time being, so I definitely have to do some rearranging to get this guy on the shelf with the other figures. Really quickly, just talking about the kaiju in general for NECA, I really hope that they do continue to do the kaiju and not just the Jaegers. With the Jaegers, they've done so many of them that they're moving into Jaegers that were in the movie for seconds. And there's still kaiju that were in main fight scenes that we don't even have yet, let alone the ones that were in it for quick glimpses. So I would really like them to continue doing kaiju and maybe put a hold on the Jaegers, because we all have enough Jaegers, and it's definitely time to expand the kaiju line. Considering they now are doing deluxe figures with the Otachi, obviously, we know that they can do larger figures. So with that, I would like them to do Slattern, or however you pronounce his name, but the Class 5 kaiju or whatever. I would really like to see them do him, because he is what I guess would be considered as the main villain, although I think that the fight with Otachi and Leatherback had much more quality than the end fight with Slattern. But I still would love to see a Slattern figure. I have the statue and it's very nice, so I would like to get a figure to go along with the other kaiju and Jaegers. As well as I'd like to get the one that starts with an M. I can't remember his name, but it starts with an M. It's like Morwu or something like that. But it's the one that was in the Australia battle between Gypsy or Striker Eureka, which was shown like in news footage. So that looked like a really cool Jaeger. It would be one that's not very big too, so they could do it in the regular toy line, and would be just a really nice one. It's very different. It's not just another repaint, you know. So I would like to see that happen. Hopefully they'll continue doing kaiju, and yeah. Overall, this is, I would consider, quite a gem of a figure. It's not every day that you get a figure this unique and this much fun. I would highly recommend getting it because it is worth the money, even at a high price point, which it is. It's definitely worth it though, especially if you're a big Pacific Rim fan, and especially if you're a big kaiju fan at that. So very happy to get this one, and I'm pretty happy about it. I will say I did get a coupon for 20% off a regular price item in the mail from Toys R Us, so that's what I used to get this guy. That's why I kind of waited. I was hoping to find this guy when I had that coupon, and I was able to do that. So with tax, I got him for $60, when he would retail for $69 plus tax. So I'm very happy with the price that I did pick him up at as well. So if you can try to get some type of discount, that would always be good. With a big figure like this, you'll get more percentage-wise of a discount. So yeah, there you go. That's my review of the Pacific Rim Otachi. Thanks so much for watching.